Cool. So, welcome everyone to the DIY Toycast. I'm your host, Gordon, here with my co-host, Brett, and we're joined by a very special guest this evening, Brendan. Brendan, do you want to introduce yourself, give us a little bit of background on, how you became involved in making toy stuff and then some of the other creative stuff that you do?
Sure. Thank you for having me on. I'm really excited. I've seen every episode so far.
Thank you.
This is probably the first one I won't watch, but it's a great show, and I love what you guys are up to. Um, I guess I got involved in toys in kind of a different way than most of the squires of the slice, and I'm not exactly a collector, but I grew up born in '81, and had He-Man and Thundercats and and I loved them, and GI Joes of course took over for me. That was my favorite plaything, and then I was heavy into playing with them until I was too old, probably 13 or 14. Um but I never really collected them apart from like once a year I
Mhm.
would be on the computer and I'd just have one of those days where you're deep diving into the web.
Mhm.
And I'd be like, I never got those Dino Riders. I really want Dino Riders. And I'd spend 3 hours like searching, I don't know, Dino Riders for sale on eBay for too much money, and then I would give up.
Mhm.
But the retro toys have stuck with me, like anyone my age, I think. Um, and then, this guy moves to town, and a friend of a friend says you got to go meet Jesse. And I went to a party at his house, and he shows me. I had heard this guy makes action figures, and I thought that is the coolest thing ever. I can't, and he's like, he makes money from selling action figures. I love that idea. I was so impressed with it. And then I was like, can I see what? And he takes me to his the room where he's got them on display. And I think this was 2016.
Wow.
And he's only got, these guys,
Yeah.
a bunch of them though, like different colors. And I'm thinking, I looked at him, I was just kind of like, cool. Like I didn't get it. I was like, I mean, I was so impressed, but I was like, who who are you selling these to? I don't understand. But
Little did you know at the time.
little did I know, yeah. And then, you know, we were mostly just acquaintances and see each other at parties or a wedding or something like that. And then Z-Star happens.
Mhm.
Jesse's texting me, join, I got this music thing going. I'm like, yeah, yeah, okay. I'll see if I can make it. And I go down, I finally go, and I'm like, I bring some synths and stuff, and he takes me down the basement. The lights come off, the party lights come up, and he's fiddling with the computer. I'm like, are you streaming that to Twitch? He's like, don't worry about that. No, just go.
So
And
you stumbled into his like insanity live rather than seeing any of his previous like karaoke live streams.
yeah, no, I had no idea what
Okay.
he was up to.
It, what an insane introduction.
But apart from Zstar, I did join the AFOTM, and I was trying to remember. I think it was like 2021.
Mhm.
And I started to get it more, although, my son is 12. He was probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 at the time. And he was like, you should join this. It'll be fun for you and Jack. And it was, but I would get, like a yellow material Hacker Man in
Mhm.
as the action figure of the month, because it was monthly at that time. And I was like, I don't get it. Like, what
Right.
is this? I know people love material styles now, and I get it now, but
It is weird. Like the whole enterprise is very weird, and to me, that's a big attraction, has always been a big attraction to me to like Jesse's creative output is it's very fucking weird. And some of it's like even too weird for me, and I like really weird shit, but um it's part of what I think makes, this small creative space more special is like none of the weirdness is sanded off. Like you go back and look at stuff from when we grew up, like Ninja Turtles or He-Man, or even some of the like, 90s G.I. Joe stuff. There's some pretty weird stuff going on with like G.I. Joe's in space now, and like they're all neon colored, and like I guess saving the environment because we can't have war anymore.
Yeah,
Um,
Eco Warriors, the best subline. Yeah.
right, exactly. Um, and so uh, I feel like a lot of as the those makers have become, bigger corporate entities, that's kind of been all, sanded away, photoshopped over. And so now it's it doesn't have those weird rough edges, which is what I remember loving so much as a kid. Um, Whereas Jesse's all about all about rough edges and weird creativity.
Yeah, and I'm completely converted. I think when I saw these guys all lined up, I thought I thought people were buying action figures that could pose really great and looked
Hmm.
real. And I think I was attracted to that style, but no longer. And 6-inch figures just never really cut it for me.
Hmm.
Anyways, I always even thought like Thundercats were way too big for my Joes, and
Yeah.
I couldn't like play with them together. I needed that. I needed this size. And yeah, so action figure of the month, and what happened after that? Zed Star.
Yeah.
Then the rest is history. Well, well then, okay, so I know what happened after that. Jesse has us over for a pool party or something, and he's like, me and a couple other people. He's like, come to the workshop. I got everything out. And I have a medium-sized Glios collection. I'm not fully understanding it, but thinking it's cool. I'm starting to get it. It's fun to swap the arms and things like that. But he had all these pieces in bins, and he was like, take whatever you want. It was like kid in the candy store. And
Hmm.
I was like, get this. Guy's like, Jack, grab more. And I'm like, can I take this box? He's like, yeah, yeah, take it. And that set it off for me because I was finally able to go home. I went home and dumped it all out on a table and I just built guys. So like if you don't get Glios, you need to hit that breaking point where you have enough pieces to finally build your own things.
Right.
And yeah, you can't have completely disparate styles and colors. You need to start seeing connections and like making anyways, I finally got enough pieces and got bit by the bug really hard. And
Mhm.
when the other way I got back into toys was my dad, he had bought like Lego Star Wars sets for my nephew who was
Mhm.
5 at the time. And he was like, he doesn't want to build it. He just wants to play with it.
Mhm.
My dad would like glue these things together. It's just like sacrifice, but um this was, I think, the first Lego set I built. I played with a ton of random Legos growing up, and but never really got sets for whatever reason.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and I was building this, I think the a small Millennium Falcon and like a Jabba's palace, and it was so fun. It was relaxing. It was creative. I would look at the instructions, be like, look what they did here. That's so clever. I love these Lego designers.
So you came
And
to it as like an adult then. Brett and I were texting before the show, and I'm like, oh, Brendan must be a huge like Lego fan from childhood, given like your own Sonic Atomic stuff of, to me it's very like building first, uh and sort of how you're thinking about the parts. So it's interesting to hear that it's actually sort of a later thing that you stumbled upon.
yeah, I've always been into miniature objects. So
Okay.
anything in miniature is, I don't know why, I'm like obsessed with like small, tiny representations of real objects. And action figures are certainly like that, but the
Yeah.
accessories are even more appealing to me.
Mhm.
uh, so I love like downtown row architecture and like small cities. And
Mhm.
that was the first Lego set I got for me and Jack, and it was like this cool small building that just opened and closed, and it was just that movement was so simple and satisfying and fun. And I was like, I could build my own. So I started brick linking and like ordering way too many bricks, brick style Lego bricks, and finally figured out how to make my own buildings. I actually started recreating Beacon in
Oh, very cool.
Oh
like a
man.
street scene, but Jack and his friend legendarily smashed it to bits once. um, Now I keep up with my Christmas village, which I
Yeah,
love.
I remember
Yeah,
seeing you always post really cool pictures on the Nice and Slice Discord of that. And it's
yeah, I
very
have to.
cool. Over time, we've gradually seen, Brett and my figures and Jesse's figures start to show up.
Yeah, Bloxor is invading this year.
Oh
He
hell yeah. Love to hear it.
Oh, and this guy is always present
Oh,
uh,
right on.
on my windowsill in the
I love
kitchen.
to hear it. That's one of the first ones. That's an oldie.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love this thing.
That's when I was still doing
Everyone
resin.
comment on this.
Yeah, he'll actually be featured in the thumbnail for this episode.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah. Um, so where were we?
Talking,
Lego.
The magic of Lego and your collecting. So so you were talking about Zed Star and how you were just astonished at Jesse wanting to stream this live on Twitch. What is your relationship with music and how did you go about, jumping in with Jesse?
that's what I want to hear too. Like, are you classically trained in like guitar or piano, or where are you coming from your music background?
Um, I took it. I wanted a guitar since I was 5 years old. I don't know, like, and my parents kept getting me like plastic guitar or like digital guitar, and
Mhm.
it's at 6 and then 7 and then 8. Very lucky kid to be getting toy guitars, but
Mhm.
like I really wanted that real guitar. And finally, when I was age 11, I got a red electric guitar, and my parents said, "But you have to take lessons." And I said, "Fucking great. Thank you so much. That's exactly what I want. I want to learn to play guitar." Anyways, I've never been classically trained or anything like that. I've gone to music camps and things
Mhm.
like that, but I um I never wanted to get that good at soloing. I mean,
Mhm.
everyone wants to be good at soloing, but at a certain point, I said, you know what? I'm gonna stay a little bit punk. I want to not be virtuosic
Mhm.
because I've gotten to a point in life where I don't really like guitar solos, or I love jazz, but I don't listen to it like I used to. Uh,
Mhm.
it's more just like background music for me. I don't really care about solos and interesting virtuosic music. Maybe that's just a cop out because I can't do it. But I love expression and trying out new instruments
Mhm.
and never getting too good at anything. But yeah, I've jumped around instruments more than I've learned one or music theory in general. Um, but yeah, I will play banjo for 3 years and then try to play button accordion for a couple of years, and uh, you know, just different stages of life have got me through lots of different styles of music. Like bluegrass, I got heavy into country, classic country, and bluegrass, and then I got into Cajun and Creole and Zydeco. I love that was a lot of. I still suck at accordion, but it's one of my favorite instruments that I really want to learn.
Awesome.
And then synthesis was really a big one that I learned in college. I took like a class on synthesizers, and it I had to get one, and luckily scrounged up a Profit 600, which is, I think I got it for like $400. If I still had it, it would probably be worth like 3 grand now. 2 grand, easy. Um, but yeah, learning synthesis really set me off on like a 20-year path of at one point, me and my very dear friend Brendan, also named Brendan, we had collected between us like a huge studio of vintage synthesizers, and they're all connected together. And like I could press a button on my main MPC and control every synthesizer in this studio, like a little city of tiny lights. And that was a
And so
glorious time period.
do you prefer the process of actually hooking up the I guess analog synthesizer equipment and sort of getting your setup like that rather than going in a software and arranging samples that way?
Yeah, working on the computer is fantastic. And for those video stuff, I've been doing it all on a computer.
Mhm.
I've tried to the hardware route, but it is way too hard to track down the right components to make what I want to do with a TV wall and video stuff. So, but the computer is fantastic. Likewise, for music, you do not need hardware synthesizers. It's all on your computer for anyone. The professional musicians I know, they're, "Well, no, I just used Arturia soft synths." Like they, there's no need at all to spend money on hardware,
Mhm.
but I just get used to it. And, I sort of have a flow when I'm making music where I like to stand and I like to move around.
Mhm.
I like to press buttons. And as soon as I have to go into the computer, it feels like I'm like, oh wait, file. Oh wait, I gotta set this. And it just zaps me out of the flow I like to be in.
Mhm.
Um,
Because
I,
part of the reason I wanted to ask about like the use of synthesizers and also software is I see a little bit of a parallel of, I don't know, like the modularity of using different instruments and plugging them in different configurations and like building with Legos, building with Glyos. You know, it's not the exact same creative application, but it's sort of a similar creative way of thinking of
mhm.
how do I use these existing pieces which have their own intrinsic aspect, and then how do I get a different creative product at the end by arranging them differently?
Yeah. So that brings us here
Yeah,
because, um, I keep thinking this doesn't need to be Glios. It doesn't it some of the builders, the great builders out there on Instagram have um used my pieces and built some awesome things. For the thumbnail of this episode, you did a great figure that I
right.
love.
His leg fell off as I tried to bring him over here, but this is me doing my 2D impression using some of your parts, and then just
So
like the
good.
axis joints from Onell. So like not even pulling anything from an existing figure so much, just using, you know,
Yeah.
basically the things to link your pieces together.
Yeah. And I think those are great, but like I also understand that it doesn't exactly fit into the organic figure world of Glios as it stands now that well.
But
But
I actually love that. And like a big reason I wanted you to come on the podcast is you're coming at this from such a different tack of like your your figure isn't a dude. It's equipment that can be arranged into a dude if you want, or it can be a miniature object like, you were saying where like I love the boombox set where, it's the old school like ghetto blaster boombox, and then you
mm.
have like the little uh old school Walkman with it's not going to show up on camera, but I'll try anyways. But very tiny little player with complete with separate cassettes that you can like load in and out. Um, And so to me, you were saying like you love the miniaturized object, and like that really comes through in those pieces.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, the Walkman, the smaller the better. It's just it gets so cute. I mean, I worry about
Oh,
kids swallowing it, but
no, I love it. Like, I got started doing my printing and like figure stuff. I wasn't doing figures. I was just doing miniature drinkware for 118 action figures. Like
yeah,
doing
I've
like
seen
little
those.
galaxies as bottles or like a little Jack Daniels bottle. And I was mixing resins to get like a nasty clear brown color for that.
Well,
So
yeah,
when I
I'm
saw so
curious
like when I
about that actually because your age is station, right? So
yeah,
that's sort of like a world where Star Wars centric
yeah.
collectors like they create a station because I've seen other
Mhm.
station accounts.
Yeah, station people. Yeah, they're all yeah, we were all during the pandemic by Empire Toy Works, who's like the grandfather of all this. If you're not following him, check him
Okay.
out.
Yeah, I
But
will.
we all got into just, buying up cheap Star Wars or like there's a lot of guys that are really into hyper articulation for, expensive vintage collection. And I like that stuff, but I like 5 POA just as much. And I always like the idea of, well, it's really cool. You can have these shootouts and you can have these bar fights and stuff, but like, what if we just had a cohesive cantina where there's no violence and I just produce all this drinkware for it? Like, that was real fun. But
Mhm.
then, when I met you and I saw what your Sonics Atomics idea was, I was like, oh my God, he's modular synths. Oh my God, a modular guitar. Like, what the, like, no one is making stuff like that. And that's so fun. And it's very much in my field of interest of, oh, look, tiny stuff for my people.
Yeah,
It's so fun. Like, and I think that's what toys need to be is fun,
yeah,
right?
and it's great that you can take that idea of world building and make a cool rock concert. Like Brendan, I remember when I got to come
Yeah.
over and hang out over at your house, like you had the little concert set up with like the Microman playing a guitar next to a Night of the Slice to, and there's like Joe's in the audience and everything.
Yeah.
And like it's
Yeah.
just a cool party and like I want to be at that party. Um, so
Yeah,
uh,
like it I I understand that guns are like the natural thing to put in these guys' hands.
yeah,
But like I don't know, I never really I'm like what are they fighting for? Who are they killing? Like what's the battle here? And I'm not claiming I'm some great pacifist trying to change the world, but why guns? Like why not guitars? Like
yeah,
these guys look like punk rock stars or Micromen look like Kraftwerk to me. So
yeah,
where's the instruments? And that's what happened was, I would go over for Z Star practice more and more into Glios, more like, oh, look this. And I was like, I think after my first toy pizza experience,
The
um,
Toy and Pizza Conference.
that yeah, it
the
was a
Toy
toy.
and Pizza Conference.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. My bad. Um, After the first one, I, posed. I found an old guitar. I don't know. I don't think I have it here, but I found like an old. I think it's a Five Nights at Freddy's guitar, and
Okay,
I
yeah,
posed it with Diver because Diver could hold a guitar so
right.
well, and I was like, that felt fun. I was like, this is Z Star 7. And that idea kind of stuff. I was like, oh, our band needs action figures. Our band needs to. I was like, Jesse, you got to make a guitar. You got to make like a keyboard. He just goes, go for it. I was like,
Yeah, do
what
it
are you?
yourself.
Yeah. I was like, oh, you want me to take the lead on this? But little did I know, Jesse was doing his thing where he bless him because he's I've never met anyone who inspires creativity in others at such a consistent and inspiring rate. He's he was like, draw your concept out and send it to Nobbywood.
Yes.
I was like, okay, sure. I don't know where any of this is going, but I had a little crappy drawing that Nobbywood made awesome, obviously. I'll post it in the Discord. Um, And then, I was like, look at this. It's Glios guitar and a Glios synthesizer. And he's like, "Oh, you know what you should do? You should get in touch with Gordon, Vladimir the Badimir." And I was like, "What the hell? This could be fun." And Gordon, thank you so much. He immediately kind of jumped in and sketched up, took the sketches and made a guitar in Blender and made a whole array of knobs and switches and like an angled thing and a whole modular synth wall. Um, and you know, and not only that, but you know, said, well, here's how you can use these. Here's how you go into Blender. And you would make me like an 18-minute personal Blender training video and send it to me. And I was like, first, and you're giving me nice ASMR when I listen to your videos. I'm a ASMR receptor. Um, but so I really enjoyed those and they were really helpful. And before long, um, watching your videos, I was moving around Blender, like getting my bearings for a while, but now I can move around and it didn't take long at all to start taking some of your knobs and adding them onto a new square and you know um, they're just shapes. Like I'm not doing any organic sculpting. It's just the Boolean method that you showed me how to like
Right. Well,
take a
it's the
cylinder.
same Lego hooking up synth instruments, hooking up Glyos piece thing again. It's all modularity. If you take existing parts and arrange them into something new, and like kudos to you on actually picking it up and like running with it because I think I had done those initial synth and guitar, and that was like early days of me in Blender. I had just done some basically custom head sculpts. I hadn't even done two resin pieces that like peg into each other until you're like, no, like the neck of the guitar needs to be able to come off and like the front needs to be able to come off. And I'm like, I don't know if we can do this.
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
give
like,
it a
we're doing
shot.
it. I don't care if it's
And you're
gonna
like,
break.
these switches don't look right. Like here's a reference image of like some, vintage synth. Like they need to be more spaced apart like this. And I'm like, you keep paying me all this money and sending me like revisions. Just like at this point,
Just do
it's
it,
just do
dude.
it.
Well,
And
I remember thinking, I figured out every other piece of software I wanted to use. How hard could this be? And I didn't find it that difficult after a while.
yeah, you just got to stick with it. And like, I feel like learning a lot of other stuff, you just focus on the stuff that you need to kind of get that initial bit out of it. You don't need to, you were mentioning like you don't need to be a guitar virtuoso to be in a band. Um, if you
Mhm.
can just
No.
like play chords,
Zed
that gets
Star is
you.
the shining example. You just gotta have the spirit and
Right.
some lights.
That spirit and some brute force.
Uh, I've lost my train of thought.
Well, that's okay. Let's here's a question for you. So, you've done the boombox, you've done the guitar, you've done synths. What is something else you'd like to see Sonic Atomics do?
Um, that's a good question. I would love to, get a plastic product together right now. I think, I've toyed with it enough. I would love to at least, put my best foot forward. And, I think part of this idea is that maybe like 1/100th of the Glios community wants a modular synth.
Mhm.
But I think there's a huge community of electronic music collectors that wouldn't mind little miniature toys. And if they're like, what are these holes? What's Glios? That's good. It doesn't bother me and it doesn't hurt anybody. And maybe they get into the Glios figures too. But um, so that's what I'm doing now is I had enough pieces together, enough ideas to say, if I could squeeze all this into plastic, what would it be? And
Mhm.
what would make it really great, assuming it's like my one shot at it, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's worth noting. I do think your package presentation is really outstanding in the
That's
cassette case.
another big
Like,
thing I want to dig into. Yeah.
I'm concerned about does this header card look passable? And it's just me with a brother printer and some shitty card stock. You've managed to formulate an actual cassette holder packaging mock-up for this, and you were doing your own bubble for it, right? Or the own vacuum
Vacuum
form bubble
form.
for
Yeah.
them.
Yes. So I think packaging is the fun part. And to me, I think when it comes to a toy, like we're making like retro toys that like stroke nostalgia. And like the packaging is like 90% of that for me. It always looks cooler in the store. It always looks so cool in that thing. And even when you rip it open, you're kind of disappointed like a little bit. Obviously, you get to play with the Joe, but like it looked so perfect in that packaging. So like for me, that is definitely like I think of the packaging before I think of the toy, and um yeah, it hit me like a ton of bricks when I thought of this cassette idea, which completely overshadows the toy. Everyone comments, I love the cassette. I'm like, well, I put a lot of work into the toy inside of it, but that's fine, you know.
Well, I mean, you did go through, you had this like really pretty graphic printed, and then you use like a die cut to cut out on the card insert, right? To get
Yeah.
sort of the little window.
Yeah, so it's just like a piece of paper with a cut. And now
Hmm.
if you the inspiration for this, look up Remco Mantech.
Oh,
I heard that on a the Rare Toys Distazapod,
hmm.
which you cannot listen to when you're driving because like you're like
You'll be
I
on eBay.
constantly looking stuff up. So do
Right.
that in the car. But I looked up almost all these toys, and when I saw Remco Mantech, the packaging that comes in is just, I don't know, it really struck me. I was like, that is so cool. It's got this die cut window with a shape not unlike this one that I've, stolen from. Uh, um, and it's got this like 3D bubble behind it that shows the accessories and the figure, and I think even like an extra arm or something.
Hmm.
I kept thinking of ways to reproduce that. Like, what can I cheaply? Obviously, I'm not going to
Yeah.
pay for my own packaging for this, or like have something specially made. That's out of the question. So it was a reuse. What can I reuse? So I was looking up like pastry, like muffin
Hmm.
boxes with little windows and things like that. And at the same time, I'm thinking, I love tapes. Like, I don't want to put out a vinyl. I don't want to put out a CD. Who's going to buy a CD? But tapes are like coming back. There's tape collector groups on Reddit, tape heads.
And the first like physical media for Zed Star was a tape, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That was all Jesse. So I wasn't even in the group then. But I, I was like, tapes are allowed in Zed Star. I'm gonna figure out a way to make tapes. And I'm like, wait a second. And it just hit me like, oh, if I just I don't need a special box with a window. I can just design the window into the J card for the
Hmm.
tape. And I think I probably then made sure that all my pieces could fit in. And before I had the Lego idea, yeah, I needed a way so they wouldn't jostle around and get all mixed up. So I came up with this idea to have a little bubble insert, but they are difficult to make and paint. You know, they don't, if anyone has one, they don't fit in there quite right and they move around still. And then when I had the idea to have Lego as the bottom of these pieces, I realized, oh, I can just put them on a Lego
Oh, and a book. like a backing block.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't even need the I don't need the vacuum bubble. What do you call it?
Oh,
The
yeah,
vac
the vacuum form tray, I guess.
Yeah. So this fits right into the cassette, which anything that takes a part of the process away is great.
Right.
So I don't know, it just works. And you know, I was thinking, man, wouldn't it be cool if a figure fit in a tape too? But and I tried and tried. This is the only guy I can get to fit inside of a
Yeah, so
cassette.
you just need to get a sort of a smaller form factor. But yeah, you could definitely do that. Do you have any, I guess the mask figures probably their feet are like too
Yeah,
big,
their
right?
feet stick out. So like I was able to
Hmm.
get a Star Marshal. There's these are called Super 8 cassettes. They're
Uh-huh.
for like ancient video recorders. You may have had one as a kid. I made all my home movies on this when I was like 13. Um, they come in a slightly bigger cassette. And I was able to
Hmm.
get Star Marshal in there, but his head has to go like this and his feet have to
Mhm.
go like this. That's awkward. And then this I was pretty excited about. I don't even know what format this is, but like it's look at it. It's
Yeah,
so
that
cool.
is nice.
Oh, that's wild.
This is like a mini VHS that I remember there's also an adapter you can put it in to
I
play.
remember those like from video classes in like high school where you put the like mini cassette in a full-size VHS cassette to like load into the VCR.
Yeah. Um, so I was like, oh, we're definitely like, look how thick that is. Like I can get a guy in here, but I was just trying it now, and it's like the universe is not letting this be practical, but make this guy a little bit shorter and find a lot of these on Craigslist or something.
Mhm.
For the boom boxes, I found somebody's old like video library of mini DV, and
Okay,
find all the clean cassettes and turn them into these things. But
that's awesome.
I think, there's a lot of plastic out there in the world that could be reused, and
Hmm.
people are really into the cassette idea. So if anyone wants to use it, it's not a copyrighted idea. But it does. I also like the fact that I'm making a music toy and then this
Yeah,
reads.
it's of an aesthetic whole. Like the packaging is tied to what's inside of it too.
Mhm.
And I like just from I don't know, like a box experience. Like I love that it's like a storage thing for it as well. So like when I'm done playing with the Sonic Atomics, I'm not going to lose the little like tapes, which are a choking hazard, and like the headphones, I can store it all back together. It actually reminds me a lot of the like Japanese collector's toys that I have. Of they're very similarly highly focused on like presentation of the product. Of you have these like layered trays where all the accessories are sort of neatly arrayed around the figure, and then you can kind of lay them out
Yeah.
across and say, I'm gonna pull out of the like 16 optional hands, I'm gonna pull out the like tilted sword holding hand, and then like unpeg the sword hilt from the blade so it can slide into the hand.
Well, that
But
that reminds me of another reason that I had to like make everything work, had to make this cassette idea work is because I didn't. There's a couple things I didn't like about toy packaging. One,
mhm,
like the what do you call the card? The just
just the
like a
card back, yeah.
card back. Um, as soon as you open the figure, there's like no way to get it back together.
Yeah, you've destroyed the package.
Yeah, and that's such a bummer because they you want to play with it, but it also looks great. So I wanted to like create a world where my toy was never sealed. It's like there's no sealing happening. So actually the first time I made the action guitar for Toy Pizza, it was on a card back, but I used like sticky reusable glue dots or something that didn't tear the paper. But of course, if anyone has one of those, the guitars have all fallen off. But at least, You can open it. Then again, the reason I love the cassette is, like you said, it's presented, it's contained, it looks sealed, but it's not. And it can go, you can get it out and play with it, or you can seal it right back up, and it's convenient. So yeah, I think try to find packaging that doesn't get destroyed and people will want to keep. Like, there's a, you know, it's hard to throw away someone's awesome art they made for their toy, but like at a certain point, I've got a lot of it, and now I'm like, okay,
Well,
but
and I like Jesse's solution that he found with these resealable blister packs, and like I've proceeded to like steal them and put my own figures in them because all
yeah,
you need, it's just a resealable clamshell, and so the only piece that I have to produce is that the artwork.
yeah, it's a
And
no-brainer. Yeah, those
right,
are brilliant, and you can reuse them. You get one, and you've got the toy on your shelf. You're like, hey, maybe I'll just design my own. They're inspiring. People want to make their own toys when they see those.
right, and so you end up with two potential display options, which is I can go and tack this and hang it on the wall as sort of a carded figure, but then I can pull it off the wall, open it up, pose it, have it on display, which to me is the best of both worlds. Like I never got the carded figure collectors. Like why why do you have a sealed toy either up on your wall or like packaged away somewhere?
Well, I do love, I think Kenneth West has one of those like Toys R Us displays that, you can see them all as if you were there, and
I mean,
KB.
yeah, that is
Those are,
admittedly cool. Like that by that point, you're recreating a space that like you would have encountered as a kid, and over time, I've come to like appreciate a lot of those older like 80s and 90s packaging. Like you were talking about Mantech, just the graphic design on that stuff is really good.
Mhm.
Something that really bums me out of going into like a modern Target or Walmart is you look at like a Hasbro or Mattel figure and the graphic design sucks. Like, especially if they're just pulling assets from whatever movie. Of it's a photograph of like the actor in costume, and then the logo of whatever the property is, and then five different languages telling you about like the choking hazard stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
I can't
it's
help but think, but in 20 years, we'll look at me like, wow, look at all that. Look at those languages for the choking hazard. That's so cool. Can we emulate
I
that?
mean, something I love is if you go and look at some of the like Japanese figures, is their little like emojis sort of for like choking hazards and stuff. It looks like a Pac-Man eating like a block or something.
It's
So
great.
there are good ways to do I don't know, like the legal parts of like don't cut yourself with this, don't stick it in your mouth, don't
Yeah.
light it on fire. Um, and then there's what I would just consider, you know, lazy graphic design that's purely functional because they know that it's disposable packaging.
Yes. Yeah. That's all good points. Um, yeah, I keep losing my train of thought. I really just got to try this for a second here. Oh yeah.
Hey, there I am. Perfect.
There's
Perfect.
your yet
We're
another one of your DIY skills. And so is the
AV technician Brendan.
right, is the videography and AV stuff, is that just like hobby or do you like did you have any professional training in that stuff in the
It's
past?
I would probably more of a probably more of a experimental training.
Okay.
That's not too distracting, right?
No, that's good. No, leave it on. I like it.
No,
That'll wake everybody up.
right.
Um, yeah, my friend Brendan and I were just like electronic cohorts, and he
Okay.
introduced me to a lot of video stuff, and we were lucky enough to uh, he would get this residency that I would join him at in Owego, New York, at this place called the Experimental Television Center. And It was this fantastic one of a kind collection of amazing early video uh, synthesizers, essentially by like David Sand and David Jones. Even Nam June Pike had a wobulator there that was incredible to play with. A lot of this stuff now doesn't exist, but there are companies like LZX and some other ones that I can't think of the names that make modular video stuff. It's a whole wild world that I um, don't get too involved in, but it's inspired me to always play with video. And I've long had this idea that a TV is just a complicated light bulb. So that's why a lot of the stuff I'm using the TVs to sync with music,
Mhm.
but a lot of the my go-to effects are basically just this, like just colored lights on a TV and
Mhm.
different events. And then since it's a complicated light bulb, why not? Sure, throw on anime imagery or I don't know. Got any ideas?
Mhm.
Brett looks good on it.
Yeah, no, that's really the peak is just my face on there. No, this is excellent. So here's a question for you in regards to the AV technician fun time. You also did some work for Jesse's Knights of the Slice game. So how did that come
Yeah.
about? Because how sick was it not only to have the game portions where you have to track down Hob, but you also did make the design a night option on software, which is so fun.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad somebody's played it. That's really
Oh,
cool.
I love it. It's so good.
We'll post a
Like there'll
link
be
to it
times
in
I'm
the
all
this description
yeah.
so more people can check it out because they definitely should.
Yeah,
I
I mean, there's times I'm alt tabbed at work just coming up with fun color schemes for different classic nights. And I was like, I love all of these, but for me to promote this and be like, Jesse, you should make this, he'll that the further I request, the more likely it is to not happen. So I just leave it to the ether.
Yeah. Well, I was working on that for about a month and I was like, this is going to be the one. Like the Squires are going to love this. I'm going to be a hero. And, I was building it and playing it and having a lot of fun. I was like,
It's
this is
so fun.
really fun. But then I don't know. I have no evidence that anyone used it except maybe you two. But that's okay. I think it made me realize people do not even have computers anymore. It's
No,
mobile.
this
Yeah.
it's phone people. They're just phone
Mhm.
people.
Yeah, I didn't realize, but it makes sense. I don't,
Yeah,
my kid's all iPad. I don't think he's not even super comfortable moving files around in a desktop. It's like, where's the share button? Yeah.
that's
Uh,
wild. For school, is he on a Chromebook or does he tablet for school?
yeah, that's true. He has a Chromebook. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, but yeah,
So
when
was the
kids
game stuff like did you have programming like background from other stuff like messing with like you mentioned you I guess it was before we started recording but like messing around in Open Broadcast Studio and like doing some customization there. So like what were you pulling in to do the game programming?
so I've always been a dabbler in coding. Like I've taken
Okay.
JavaScript classes and I've worked with developers a lot over the years. Before you knew me as a Squire of the Slice, I was Brendan, the ringtone composer. I'm very proud of my still existing ringtone company called rcptones.com. And I make the world's most elegant and interesting ringtones. And if
Excellent.
you can go ahead and try to prove me wrong.
We'll be
Um,
sure to post a link in the description.
so I've worked with so many developers and had to, be in the code with them and, be on top of my apps for
Mhm.
iOS. And did I ever do a desktop? No, I think just iOS and Android. So it was always something that I had my hands in, but when it got too deep, I just couldn't do it. The I've always loved the adventure games.
Mhm.
Monkey Island, like,
Yeah.
is my jam. Like, I love that game so much. I'll replay it anytime you want. Um, Monkey Island 1 and 2, and all the LucasArts games. And when there was mention of a Knights of the Slice video game, or I had thought of it, or it was on a Distazapod, that's exactly what I would picture. It's like, Monkey Island style guys. So, and I'd always wanted to make my own. I think that's probably why I was attracted to Monkey Island, because it felt like I feel like I could make this game. I would love to devise puzzles. Like, how fun would that be? Um, and then I just found this app that it's called Pixel something. Pixel. I don't know what it is, but it actually did a really good like pixelization of a Night of the Slice.
Mhm.
I posted that to Discord, and then Jesse, messaged me, should we make a game? I was like, yeah, it can't be too hard, right?
Like
So
any great idea,
yeah, so I
can't be
just
too hard.
messed around with that and I hacked together different um angles of an action figure, and I was like, get him this way, let's get him this way, let's get his arm like this, and just crudely, made him move in pixel fashion. And used a program called Visionaire Studio, which is it's like an adventure game creator.
Okay.
It's like one of those visual coding things that can be
Oh,
very
nice.
it's
So again, sort of modular thinking of it gives you the building blocks, and as long as you have sort of like a concept of what's the sequence of logic that you want, you don't actually got to go in and do syntax or like all that spacing that you do if like you're actually doing, I don't
I
know,
love the way you're
C.
you're you're turning my whole life story into these centralized themes. I
Well, to
love
me, like that's all my experiences have sort of been repeated iterations of this, of like learning Japanese in college, then taking programming, then like coming across GLiOS, then learning to 3D sculpt and print. It's like, it's all pattern recognition at the core of it. And like, how do I take existing ideas, pieces, shapes, and rearrange them to make the thing I want that doesn't exist out of pre-existing parts. That to me is like the like essence of like a creative process of, you know, you recognize sort of the resources that you have there, and like you don't have like you can't really make anything from scratch, like everything's been done. The like trick is how do you take all the existing stuff that's out there, chop it up, remix it into something that's new.
yeah. It's I marvel at you guys coming up with figure ideas, because I have sat back and thought about it, like just the way you said all those ideas have been done. I'm like, how can anyone come up with a figure idea? Like, I just can't do it, but you do it, and
Well,
it's
to me, what it is, and like this is something that I've noticed in Jesse, in Matt, and Marcus's stuff, or any of the other GLiOS makers, is what makes it unique is just inherent to the person and their style. And like, if you love the thing, like, I want to make a really fucking cool barbarian. So
Hmm.
He-Man, Conan, you know, however many other ones have already been out there and done it. But just because of like how I sculpt things or do proportions or think about stuff, it's going to come out a little different. Like I can't help that piece. Or the same thing of
Oh,
like,
certainly. You managed to make Satan from South Park unintentionally. I mean, it
right. And
happened.
I
It's
see,
here.
I was never a South Park fan or into that, so like I wouldn't think of that as an influence. But
Right.
then,
That is
someone
funny.
who's a fan of that comes and says, "Oh, it's an obvious South Park homage," and I'm like, "Yes, good job, you got it,
Yes.
everyone."
Yes. Now buy one.
Right. Um, and
Well,
so,
you guys are reminding me that I have been thinking figuratively more, and
mhm,
mostly like, this concept of, since I don't want to paint anything,
yeah,
this concept that I have for my pieces, which is like, I don't know if everyone's aware, but there are multiple pieces
right, you very carefully cut out all the little holes for all the knobs and switches, and then it's like a plastic overlay
Yeah.
that slides over.
Oh, great. Now I've kind of lost my pieces. Yeah, so it's like
Yeah.
it's a piece like this with insert pieces like this. And then you can see this part here is where I put like little red knobs just to get some color in there. And then the whole thing goes back together. And I just think it makes it look really sharp like that.
Hmm.
I don't think you could paint these knobs, and I don't think even professionally the knobs, well, professionally they probably look fine, but
Right, you could maybe do a spray mask, but Brett hates
Mhm.
painting figures. And
Well,
like
and
you,
well, yeah,
you
and to Brendan's credit, we did try we scaled up one of his
oh yeah.
synths in
Um,
AMS, and it turned out really nice, I thought.
I have that handy.
But
whereas I'm fine painting, doing a complete paint of my figure.
no,
And
no,
yeah,
no,
it looks
no.
kind of sloppy.
No, no, no. Hate's a strong word. We're coming into our own now. Now that,
Right. No,
but what it is my figures, as I would design them, were not exactly designed around the idea of paint apps for them. Whereas a sculpt like Kenneth did for me on the new character, the Veilgast, that sculpt demands paint. So it's offensive if I don't do it, right?
well, and also it's a labor consideration of if we're
Sure.
trying to make these available to people and charge them something that's akin to what you're getting mass market, like if we spend 10 hours on a figure, I'm going to have to charge you like 60 or more dollars for that. And
Right.
like, you know, uh, Brett and I have been getting more and more interested in Sotheby, but like something that's already always kind of kept me away from that stuff is like the $100 plus asking price for that. And the reason is because it's a dude in a spray booth, hand painting every single piece.
Right. Yeah. Well, it is impressive. But yeah, I painted my first round of guitars and it was just, you're printing them,
Yeah.
you're washing them,
Right.
you're
You have all the post
drying,
processing with resin. Yeah.
and then you gotta paint them, and then you gotta seal them, and then
Right.
it's like the paint makes the pegs work less well, and I was like, I've got it. So I tried this idea, I hammered on it until I got the pieces to fit, and I really like the way it looks. So lately I have been thinking, can I adapt this to like a face? The way the
Mhm.
blockies transformers, their
Yep.
eyes come
Yeah.
right
Those are
through.
great ones to look at. Or even, have you ever built a Gundam kit?
No, no, nothing like that. Yeah.
If you can find like they have some that are like the what are called like the super deformed ones where they're like Charlie Brown proportions where they have like a really big head and like torso and then stubby little limbs, but their assembly is very simple. Or, finding any relatively like simpler model kit, it's really interesting to see how they do the color separation of its sort of successive like masks of plastic laid on top of each other. So you're doing as little paint as possible.
Yes, that sounds like it's for me. Um, yeah, but I'm also curious, like if these were to be produced, I'm still not sure that the separate pieces is the way to do it or not. But
Mhm.
I like it. I like the fact that you could swap pieces. You could say, oh, I'm
Right.
going to change the colors because I have two different keyboards. Let's see what that looks like. That's fun to me. It's like a
Yeah.
little mini puzzle. It's tough. It's tough to decide. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I- I've done all that I can. That was enough. But I'm still compelled. Uh, am I compelled to make another chapter of the video game? We'll see.
Maybe if more people who are listening to this episode go and
Yeah,
play it, you
yeah.
can convince Brendan to make more of
If
the
I
video
see
game.
one
Listen,
animated
listen.
trading card, I'll do it.
Listen, we need an 8-bit RPG set in the Jagged Age with Cray and Hobb, and there can be a third random party member we can recruit, and make it a .gb file so I can put it on a Game Boy. We'll
That's
sell we'll sell five of them.
Exactly.
But
Right.
I have the homebrew kit. I have blank cartridges. I'll write them, you know.
That's a sick idea. And
It
then
would
we
be really fun. And we can do, there's a lot of guys that do homebrew Game Boy. They use cassette cases with a 3D insert for the Game Boy cartridge.
yeah.
So it's very much on brand for that. And I really just want this to come to fruition, probably more than anybody. And again, we'll sell five of them. So this is definitely worth your time.
Well, maybe I was thinking about doing a game for this
Oh, the
Zod.
Oh, that's
bike.
right.
I forgot about the bike. Yeah.
That's you and Kenneth did that, right?
Well, it's all Kenneth.
I mean, the synth parts are yours,
Yeah. Well, yes. I was like, leave room so I can cut holes and put
and you had to print the bikes, right?
yeah, I printed these, yeah.
Holy crap. That is a big chunk of resin printed.
I
Oh my
know.
God.
Yeah. I printed about four of them and called it a day.
Holy shit. What printer are you running for that?
Um, this year I was using, let's see, I was using originally, I think a Mars 3.
Okay.
Uh, then I switched to any cubic photon L. Do you know what?
Whatever iteration
Okay.
number they're on.
Photon M5. I had two
Okay.
M5s, and then they just keep failing on me. Like replace.
We gotta get you on the Bamboo Mini.
You don't want to
I
paint? You don't want to paint? Boy, do I
yeah,
have the system for you. Four color AMS.
no,
Yeah, I
it's
know.
incredible. You know, it's even better than whatever the Adventure, just because of the footprint it now takes up in
Hmm.
my space. So it's just storage of filament. There's no dealing with that isopropyl alcohol where you have to get out your gloves and your respirator and maybe do it outside. And we're in New England now, and it's getting freezing. It's just you run it in another room, wait, you know, maybe 2 or 3 hours for a print, come over, pull it off the plate, pull off the supports, and like stick stuff together.
I
It's
I love that idea, and I hate having a trailer that's like a toxic hazard. Wait,
The Breaking Bad area in the front yard.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Girlfriend
now,
calls me
w-
Walter White when I come out.
worth noting for the idea of if you would want to transition to that, we have been factoring in with some of the guys doing resin figures, doing TPU inserts on
right.
their torsos for Glyos compatibility. If you wanted to still do like, FDM plastic, you could do that to get your multicolor on your synth parts, and then we could just, you could print them, or, I do a lot of TPU, have the inserts glue this in, and they're buildable across Glyos. So you have that friction peg, and it would probably fit better than the resin does, and this would be a lot less labor. So, food for thought.
It
Well,
also,
yeah, what, Gord?
oh, I was going to say it also opens up you to do kind of different uh like material concepts, like a guitar strap you could have
Hmm.
bend around a figure, or like other types of harnesses um that you wouldn't be able to do just out of a completely rigid material.
So just this is FDM, right?
Yeah,
So
so that figure is PLA. The whole thing is polylactic acid, and then the joints are TPU, which is
right,
thermoplastic polyurethane, which we're in this, Gordon and I are in this really obsessive state of doing all of our figures in full TPU. And if you look, this is one of Gordon's knights that I printed off. You can take his arm off and you can actually bend it and flex it.
I like
And
that.
and then you can take it and just peg it back in and reassemble it. And there's no
No,
and and
that's
and they're
TP.
like they're heat proof. Yeah, I mean, if you look, it's got really nice detail. This is the stuff I just did for Jesse's scuba kit.
right.
I haven't seen that yet, so that would be
Oh yeah, give that a look. That was a very fun project he let me
my
do.
hesitancy. My hesitancy so far is that FDM. I don't know exactly what TPU looks like. I'm not sure I have a full TPU piece, but it creates these like waves, like these
The
little
layer lines, yeah. And
layer lines.
so something that Brett really figured out about the TPU stuff is, I guess it absorbs moisture if it's just left around.
Hmm.
And so you can actually get, as a separate piece of equipment, what's essentially just like a little heat box, and it heats up the material and evaporates the moisture out of that. And so that reduces the amount of imperfections in the material as it prints. And
Right.
then the I guess it's the Bamboo A1, as the newer the printer you get, the higher resolution you're going to get. It's sort of the same with any digital equipment of resolution is something that they're always going to try to get better. And so, oh, actually, I have Brett's little scuba guy right here.
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
see this in person.
And yeah, you really need to see this in person as opposed to over.
Take one of those flippers off and show them what's possible. So you can actually take the flipper off, and it's like an actual functional accessory you would have like had on GI Joe.
Right,
That's
yeah.
cool.
And so to me, it feels like that sort of softer plastic that they would occasionally run action figure accessories in. Or Brett did this thing where he actually used a piece of filament, just not even run through the printer to be like the little tubes leading from the whatever the scuba tank into the respirator. And then like he also has a belt that wraps around the torso of the knight, whereas he printed the little pistol that it comes with out of a rigid plastic.
Hmm.
And so
Mhm.
I can't I can't see with my crappy eyes the layer lines. But another big thing when you're printing it on a FDM printer, which is just the that it uses filament, is you get the highest level of detail on the z-axis, which is the like up and down, as
Mhm.
opposed to the x or y, which is printing on like a layer. So like if I wanted to print a face, I would want to put the chin on the build plate and have it build up that way, as opposed to like lying it on the back of the head or something,
Mhm.
because then you'll see the layer lines
Yeah, I've
more.
noticed with my pieces, at first I was printing them straight, and then I was like, oh wait, I gotta tilt them, and
Yeah.
then
Yep.
I was like, wait, what if I tilt it like this now?
Hmm.
Obviously I don't. It's a whole game you play to
Right.
get at the exact spot where it's gonna like look real smooth. So you can do a TPU print now, and then you're not gonna see lines
You
and
can
I
there'll still be lines, but when you get into the slicing software, it'll start off at 0.2 millimeter layer height, which is standard, which you'll definitely see them, but you can take that down as low as 0.06. So it's down to 600ths of a tenth of a millimeter. Very, 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 very faint. Like I'll send some pictures to you of some of the heads I printed, and for it being done on a, $200 printer in a garage, I never thought it'd be possible to have something that accurate. That's not resin, that's actually playable. Resin, you can ship it like this. I give a lot of these TPU figures to my 3-year-old son, and he has a blast with them, and they're invincible. They survive him, so they can survive anybody.
well, maybe I can we can arrange some sort of a trade, and one of you guys can run me a test TPU with some
yeah,
pieces of mine.
Yeah,
yeah.
that'd be sick. That'd be so fun.
That'd be awesome. I'd love to see where it's at. You guys are the true pioneers of the iOS 3D printing realm, as far as I could tell.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that's totally true. I think a lot of the old guard
Yeah, true.
really pioneered it back then. Now I'm just enjoying the fruits of their labor, and well, really
Well,
Bamboo and all these other companies.
maybe not pioneers, but the
Yeah.
further adventurers.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like we're right at the sweet spot though, where like the tech is getting really good pretty fast and it's also cheap. Whereas
Yeah.
like back when David White and Ben Minenberg were like coming in, the tech was super expensive,
Yep.
a pain in the ass to troubleshoot and run.
Yeah.
And like they were doing still like a bunch of uh, labor intensive processing where they're poly smoothing it with like acetone vapor to eliminate those big layer lines. And so what they would do is they would take acetone and essentially melt the surface of the plastic,
Hmm.
so that it became a kind of smooth finish, uh, which, yeah, get a great finish to your thing, but you're exposing yourself to toxic chemicals and having to treat each piece. And like if it melts a little bit too much, it gets fucked up and then you have to throw it away.
Yep.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas now, the stuff Gordon and I are printing in TPU, it comes off the print bed and we assemble it and paint if need be. So
And the other thing that you get with TPU is because you have a little bit of that stretch. If my measurement is off by, a quarter of a millimeter, doesn't matter. It'll just
Yeah.
stretch that much more.
I like the sound of that. So
Yeah,
this whole torso is TPU.
that whole torso is TPU. I think the head
It's very,
is
I love squeezing it. So that's a nice sound.
yeah,
right.
you're gonna have fun. I think this could be a great way for you to navigate into a more playable realm.
And
And you could try other stuff like if you want to do. I remember when we were hanging out, you said you want the Z Star 7 cadre needs like groupies. And so like maybe
oh
that's
yeah,
your that's your
yes.
first humanoid figure is like a Z Star
And
7 groupie.
that'd be so fun. And Gordon and I just found a really great flesh color TPU, so it exists.
Uh,
You can do it if you don't want to make him an alien.
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, groupies come in all kinds of species, don't they? Or
right,
maybe even like a, punk lead singer type.
right.
That could
No,
be. Um, yes. Oh, also TPU. Can you print in different colors?
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Abs-
like I
Now,
got
when
like
you
a
say,
handful.
yeah, these are all different color
It comes
TPU
in
we've
like a
done.
spool of.
Yeah, you just get a
Okay,
bunch of them. Yeah, none of these are painted. These are all just raw color casts.
cool. So TPU is the new thing for you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're fully TPU pilled.
Nice.
Yeah, that's where we're
I,
at with it, for better or worse.
I really, really love to, if you could run like at least one of my pieces just so I could see how that would turn out. That'd be awesome. And then
yeah,
maybe
I
like
think the guitar would be a great one for that because to me
Mhm.
that's like, the iconic instrument.
yeah, I mean, if you have a synthesizer and you want to display it with your action figures, it's not that good because you're just looking at you see
Well,
your
it's
action.
also hard because like all the action figures are doing this because they're gonna, I guess, shoot you.
Yeah.
And so like
Yeah.
you're gonna play the synthesizer like this.
But guitar is perfect. Even if their arms don't hold it, you can just make them stand with it. And it's
Right. They can just be like,
yeah,
cheering or something.
yeah. And then of course you can always make a weirder guitar.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, we're TPU build. I fully expect to see 2026 an AFOTM with Diver, a two pack of two different divers, the lead singer head, and some TPU guitars from you. So
Yeah, that would be fun.
that'd be so sick.
Yeah, the Z Star 7 band will one day rise. That will be amazing. That'll be a fun day. In action figure form, of course, is what I mean.
Yeah, we look forward to that. What a fantastic piece of live merch to have just right at the show. Just
Yeah,
sell yourself as a figure. That's the dream.
our merch is flying off the shelves, so this is going to be a
Well,
no-brainer.
I'm going to tell you, I think Nick Hexum from 311's got a few things to say about that shirt from TPE 25. So
Yeah.
you watch out. That
I mean,
311
Jesse, I
slander.
love it, but I don't think I can wear it.
That's very funny.
Hey guys, we've been going for about 90 minutes or so. Do you want to wrap things up at least with the official episode? Maybe give our plugs where people can find us?
Yeah, of course.
Cool. So you can find me here on YouTube. I'm Gordon. This is the DIY Toy Cast. You can also find me on Instagram at Vladimir the Badimir. Brett, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Aegis Station, and you can find me on aegisbazaar.bigcartel.com for all of your toy buying needs. Brendan, where can people find you?
Basically, Instagram, Sonic Atomics,
Awesome.
Right
um,
And
on.
and Z Star 7, and a new music project coming soon with the TVs.
very
Oh,
cool.
very cool. Well, we look forward to hearing that and seeing that.
Guys,
Cool.
it's such an honor to be on the show. I really do enjoy it. I think you're both really talented at this. You're excellent interviewers and really fun to chat with. So
Well,
I
thank
can't.
you. It's been a pleasure having you on, and it's awesome to, have your, somewhat sideways, outside view of not being like a lifelong action figure collector and making cool stuff that isn't just dudes shooting other dudes with guns or stabbing them with swords. So we see you and we appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah,
Uh,
man. Thanks for coming on. It was so great to hang out with you tonight.
yeah, my absolute pleasure.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.